All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. Today's date is June 9th, 2022. If you are watching this recording from home, we encourage you to come join us live. We meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. It's a great way for you to come and meet other members of the community, the maintainers, bring up any questions you have, put a face to names. If you have any feature requests or anything you want to bring up to the team, it's just a really good live interaction opportunity for you to participate in. For those that are on the call today, if you have anything you want to discuss with the team, just be sure to add that down below at the discussion topics section, and we'll get to it towards the end of the meeting. Now, if you aren't able to come join us live and you still want to interact with the team or have questions or anything like that, you can find us in a variety of ways. You can reach us at the Carvel channel in the Kubernetes Slack workspace. You can email us through Google Groups. You can find us obviously in GitHub with any of our project repos. So you can submit an issue with your feature requests or anything like that there. And you can also find us on Twitter at Carvel_dev. We also want to remind everyone to please read and abide by our code of conduct. For edit, just make sure you're abiding by this at any point that you're interacting with us or any other members of the community. For those that are using the Carvel tools, we really want to know more about your uses of the Carvel tools. So we've created this pinned issue asking for you to provide details on your use case. It helps us understand just better about how folks are using the tools, and maybe helps us better develop the tools in that regard. It just, it's a good opportunity for us to learn more, and also for other members of the community to learn more on how to use the tools. Optionally, you can also add your logo to the comment in a PNG form, and we'll get it added to the adopters file here. And then just a reminder also for all the attendees that are on the call today, make sure you add your name and any organization you are representing to the attendee list here. John, I think your way of writing out VMware. Announcements. Moving on to announcements. We want to officially welcome Twilio to our adopters list. It's so awesome to start this journey with Twilio. We've been in conversations with them, and we've already got some PRs from them and contributions, and just really excited to for this evolution of Carvel and working with other folks outside of VMware and really diving more into open source and just really excited for this partnership here. Is there anyone from Twilio on the call today that wanted to speak up?
Yeah, I can chime in real quick. Just Sean Shin from Twilio, just a software engineer for the platform team as well. Just kind of hanging out and just listening in. Most of the other team is out this week just for like a internal think week, but yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, Sean. Yeah, thanks for being here. All right, moving on to releases. So we got a few that happened this week. Got CAP 0.49. And anyone want to speak on this release?
I can go. It's basically some rebase rules have been added, which helps us support OpenShift. That is what has gone in. It will help us with our other products. So a quick release for CAP has been made. Hopefully it will be adopted by kapp-controller soon.
Okay.
Pretty sure it already happened.
Yeah.
All right, so it has already been adopted by kapp-controller. Cool. Thank you for that. Then we had a release by Kbuild 0.34, new support for Docker BuildX. Any more context here?
Yeah, I think this is some of the beginnings of our work around shipping kapp-controller and secretgen-controller, for example, with ARM images. But this also will be generally useful to the community, since some folks previously have inquired around what's our plans around BuildX integrations. There is another BuildX functionality called Bake that I personally haven't figured out how people are using it. It's a little bit lightweight, I think, on some examples out there. So if anybody is interested in sharing some more information, or maybe brainstorming how it could be useful in the context of Kbuild, let us know.
Hey, Dimitri, what's the build X? How's that better than build? I mean, the X sounds like a plus on its side.
I'm no expert in Docker BuildX, but from my understanding, it just uses a different underlying mechanism for building the images. And so with BuildX, you can actually build images that are multi-platform, versus with regular Docker build, you cannot, as far as I know. So that's one difference that I'm aware of. There might be plenty more.
Well, thanks, Dimitri. And yeah, looks like Lee is not on the call. I know he specifically also had a question about ARM64 and the support with Carvel. So good to see that happening. Any other questions before we move on to the next point? Okay, so it looks like we have some upcoming releases today and tomorrow for secretgen-controller to include new secret template API, and kapp-controller to include package repo layering. So be on the lookout for those releases that are coming up. Any more context there?
Maybe for the sake of Sean and Scott, I guess, this thing that we're calling layering, what you should imagine is, what if you had multiple package repositories and they all contained identical copies of, let's just say the cert manager package, and you didn't want to care that they had identical copies of cert manager because they're identical, like it's fine, right? Why don't you just like layer those package repositories one on top of the other and pick whichever cert manager is on top? They're identical anyways. And so this feature lets you do that, and it also lets you set a revision so that if they aren't truly identical, that there's a way of giving priority to one package repository or the other. Prior to this feature, if you had a packaging resource of an identical name, it would cause the repository containing it to fail to reconcile.
So this is different than like image layering, where you have the same blob in two different places and there's a reference to that. This is a different thing entirely, Joe?
Yeah, yes. We use the word layering. It's a little bit borrowed from a very early solution proposal. You could think about CSS layering, where like you just give a number to everything and you pick the one that's on top. And so it's layering in that sense.
I see. Cool.
So the check-in's done at the name. The check-in's done at the name level and not at the SHA of the OCI bundle of the package, correct?
Well, I would say two packages that have the same like ref name, the same name and the same version, they're going to be identical if the entirety of the spec plus the non-Carvel parts of the labels and annotations are identical, right? So it's going to, that identical check is going to include the SHA, but it's going to include much more than just the SHA.
Okay, cool.
And there's actually, you know, I can link, I think we haven't quite merged. There's, let me drop a link to the docs. I tried to like write out in bullet points, the rules of this feature.
Maybe one thing to throw in is one important rule that we wanted to stand by is that in the context of a namespace, there should only be one package that is identified by a name and a version, right? So we don't want to end up in cases where like, you know, you ask, hey, what's your cert manager 160 or something like that, and you get 2 results back. That should never be the case. And in fact, at the API level, it's impossible for us to get that, right? And so the question then results as well, what if multiple things are trying to give you cert manager 160, right? Multiple package repository. And so this is a logic to figure out what is the right thing that you actually want to pick up.
So if they're namespaced and not in the kapp-controller global, we could have 2 separate packages with the same name. But if we have anything in global, or we try to do 2 in the same namespace, the layering will come into place, which will choose which one actually gets instantiated.
Right. There's a little bit of a nuance between like a regular namespace and a global namespace. I think anything in a local namespace takes precedence over global. But yeah, I think generally what you said sounds right to me.
Okay, does that mean we could have an override in a namespace with the same name then over the global with the same name technically?
You could in theory, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we got an end-to-end test that's in the regression suite, Scott.
Okay, awesome. Not that I plan to do that, but just good to know.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments or questions before we move on?
I guess I'll just mention real quick regarding the secretgen version. So this was a contribution from VMware, but external to our team, to the Carvel team. This was a new API introduced to secretgen that allows you to kind of squish multiple pieces of data from different resources into a single secret. It's going to be useful to folks that, for example, deal a lot with various services and operators where they just kind of want to provide a consolidated piece of data to their, let's say, deployment or whatever other workload entity. But also at the same time, because this API is generic, it also could be useful for providing input to things like app CRs and package installs from other external resources. So coming up real quick, and then I think as a follow-up release, we will do a YTT version of templating that's going on right now there. Right now, I believe it only uses JSON paths, but that's going to be hopefully a quick follow-up release.
Any questions regarding that? Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Dimitri. Thanks all for your questions on that. Moving on to content. So this week we have a blog post that is going to be a series of blog posts covering contributing to open source and projects like Carvel. So getting started with contributing by Varsha. Varsha, you want to just give a little brief overview of what to expect and what the plan is moving forward with the.
Yeah, sure. So this blog post is for beginners. Basically, if someone wants to, if someone is really new to open source and want to start contributing, I have basically come through a returnship, and it was a totally new experience for me. Even I had questions like, what is open source and how do I start? And I have just consolidated some of my questions, some of my learnings and my experience, and that can help a newbie to get started with contribution. So I would encourage anyone new, go through this blog post and let us know any feedback, comments they have, and they can always reach out to us through our Slack channel and through our GitHub issues. So this will be a series of blog posts, and we are planning to add more details how they can start more contributing more, and you know, some other details about learning journey and everything. So stay tuned for that.
Great, thanks, Varsha. It's super inspiring, and I'm sure inspiring to others who are intimidated by getting started with open source, and this certainly helps folks who may be so used to working in downstream stuff and proprietary projects, and helping them further understand what it means to work in open source. So I'm really excited to see this series come to life. Okay, so upcoming, we have blog post by Neil Hickey, how to template a concourse pipeline using YTT. So be on the lookout for that next week. Now, for these blog posts and the sharing of content, it's not limited to just our maintainers. So if you out there, if anyone on this meeting is interested in sharing their knowledge of how they use the Carvel tools with the community, we have created a sign up for you to add your name and the topic you want to cover and what medium you're going to be using to cover that topic. So is it a video, a vlog, or a blog, or a workshop, or are you presenting at a conference on this? Anything like that, however you wish to share your knowledge, we would like to help promote it and share with the community any way we can. So just come in here, add your name, all the information. If you have a Twitter handle, add that, and we'll be sure to tag you in the tweets that we use to promote it. If there's a date that's not listed here, if it's further in the future, just simply add the lines until you get to the date that you're going to be sharing that information. And for anyone who is outside of the maintainers, we want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge, and we will send you a t-shirt or other Carvel type of swag. If a t-shirt's not your thing, we do have beanies available, as well as we have long sleeve shirts and short sleeve shirts. So we want to make sure that we gift you with something to show our appreciation. Moving on to status updates and what's being worked on this week. So project roadmap stuff. Looks like we got some updates here.
Yeah, I just applied a fresh coat of paint on the roadmap since it was a bit out of date, and just wanted to provide general updates. The themes overall continue to remain the same around general stability, package author improvements, and making it easier to get started. I won't dive into the details of all the work items, but just wanted to reflect what's currently in progress and what's in the plans. And as always, if you have thoughts or feedback on what's coming up, please do reach out to us. We'd love to chat.
Great, thanks, Aaron. Anybody on the call have any questions or comments? Okay, cool. We went on to stuff being worked on this week that's kind of outside the roadmap. We got YTT continuing on out-of-the-box validation roles. Who here can talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'll speak up around that. Varsha and I've been carrying the torch here this week on continuing our work on out-of-the-box validation rules for our upcoming validation feature. You can actually start to use that feature right now. It's experimental. There's a previous blog post that describes what's involved and how to get started with it, but we're continuing on that work this week as well.
Well, and thanks for showing off the Carvel beanie. For those that are interested, there it is. Not beanie weather now, but you'll have it available for when you need it.
I do feel a little bit like a hothead, so I'm gonna have to take this off before I melt.
Dad jokes. Okay, any questions on that before we move on to KCTRL? All right, so KCTRL, progress on package authoring flow with small demo. Looks like we got a demo coming. I will stop sharing.
Yeah, hi. So we have been working on the package authoring experience, and last time when we showed, we have made improvements from that time. So we tried to streamline we have tried to streamline the way the information is gonna be shown, and that is what we wanted to share today. So yeah, so I have this package author flow. So I already have my KCTRL binary here. It is because it is not, it is a work in progress. That is why, but yeah, let's start. So KCTRL package build create. This is for the create flow or the package authoring flow. So we have added a couple of prerequisites which are needed, and the educational or the informational text is grayed out now, so that you the end user, they can directly make out that this is just an informational text, and if they really want to skim through it, they can do that. And so the interactive flow is mainly for the beginners, right? And we are just telling like this is the basic information, which is step 1 of 3 we are asking on the package. So let's say the first is enter the package reference name. Yep. So I have all the information here. Let me just keep on copying. So the things you see in the bracket, they are the default values. If you don't give any value here, these will be picked. For example, if let's say I want to leave the package version as 1.0.0, I'll just enter, and then it is gonna create multiple directories which are needed in the package creation journey, and giving an explanation of why do we need those basically. And then there is this package content step. So we have reworked on the questions, assuming that the beginners, they don't know much about the Carvel tool. So without introducing the Carvel tool, it is a general idea on like to introduce them with the questions which they are familiar with. For example, if somebody want to create a package, hope they will know where their artifact is currently located. Is it a release artifact from GitHub repository, or is it a Helm chart from Helm repository? Things like that. So let's say I want to go with release artifact from GitHub repository. And then we are asking for the repository details, enter slug for repository. So its format is org/repo. So let's say I want to create a package from the Dyna trace operator, enter the release tag to be used. I pick version 0.6.0 and enter the paths. So if you want to include everything, then you press star, which is anyway a default here. But let's say you want to just pick the Kubernetes YAML, which they are releasing and they are advising to use. So then we see that so this is basically all the information we need to create the vendor. So that is what showing that we are printing the vendor, running the vendor sync here, and validating that our kubernetes.yaml is downloaded by the vendor, and then entering the registry URL where we will push our bundle. So again, telling the format for the registry URL. So then the third step is creating the package. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, so then we tell like we are gonna use kbuild and what is its purpose, and just locking the image references using kbuild. Also telling them like the shard digest are located and how they are mapping. For example, for this, the shard digest this, and then running the image package push, showing its output, printing package metadata. And one more thing we have done is we have added information where we are telling like after running this, you have the package build.yaml, which is getting generated. And this can be used for updating. This can be updated further for more complex scenarios. So we will be adding the links, and over there we will be talking about like how you can update it and what does it mean. Also, it is supporting the non-interactive flow as well. And then these are the next steps which can be done. For example, the package can be added to the package repository, and then it can be run, and we can publish the package on the GitHub repository. So I have a script called copy.sh. I'll just run it. So the expectation is that once the package is also one more thing which we are gonna work on later is the is adopting a flag, maybe something which will copy these finally created artifact of package and package metadata onto the path where you want to give. And that is what I am currently doing with the copy.sh. So it is copying the package and package YAML to basically here in the repo creation flow. So over here, it has copied the packages, and the idea is that all your packages, so we have implemented the repo creation flow also, and the idea is that whatever the packages are present in the packages folder, we are gonna create a bundle from all of them for our package repo. So let me show the package repo part. So again, for package repo as well, we have a prerequisite and basic information, just giving a bit information about what is a package repository. It's a collection of package and package metadata CRs. And let's say I want to name it demo repository. And then again, giving a bit of information on the image package and what is a package repository bundle. And again, creating the required directories. The next step is to add a registry URL. So I'll just add the URL, and it is going to create the bundle. Again, run the kbuild, create the bundle, and it is pushing the bundle. And as part of the output, it has created the package repository.yaml. Again, the information is that repo build is generated, where you can make the modifications directly and run it in the non-interactive flow. But these are the next steps. Like you can actually take this package repository and install it using kctrl. So let's just do this. So I've already taken the command. So if we see, I do not have any repo. So and there are no packages in the system. So let me try to add this repo. This I'm moving to the consumer flow now, right? Just to show the full demo. So we are gonna see what are the packages available in this repo. So as we have created only one package, which is Dynatrace, it was created just now, and that is what we see on the time. And let me just install this package. Yeah, so it is in the fetch stage. Fetch has succeeded. It will move to the templating stage. Template has succeeded and it is currently deploying. Yeah, I think the deployment is gonna take a bit of time to come up. But yeah, that is the demo. The next steps will be, for example, in the package authoring, we have not added or even for the repository, the links to the documentation, they are yet to be added. So we are gonna do that, and any feedbacks we are gonna get, we are gonna incorporate. And as I was saying, like there are a couple of flags which we want to expose as that is what we are gonna do. Yep. So let me show. Yeah, so the Dynatrace operator is installed. Yeah. Any questions, any thoughts?
Loving this, like from the beginning, this whole idea of making the whole experience much more accessible and walking folks through the integration of all the tools and why they're there and saying it succinctly. This is fantastic. Love this work.
Thank you, John. So also I think I should call out one more thing. So the artifacts we are creating, for example, the package build, if you just take a look at it. So it is actually encompassing the package and the package metadata, which means if you, because the tool interactively it is gonna handle mostly for the beginner scenarios, but let's say if we want to really handle very complex scenarios, the users can just come over here directly and change the thing, save it, run the tool in a non-interactive flow. And what is it gonna do is it is gonna run through all the steps of doing a vendor sync, running the k-build, image package push, and do the image package push on the user behalf, and ultimately giving the package CR. So the end user, they don't have to write their own automation scripts. So yeah. And also we will be spending more time on seeing how we can leverage this in the GitHub action so that the whole process can be automated in the CI flow.
Yeah, this is really awesome from a user and package author perspective. I think this will add huge usability and will make adoption of the Carvel tools much better and much easier for newcomers. So this is really awesome. And I like the simplicity of it while still giving huge value, and the educational part is what's really key here.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Yeah, that is the idea we have set out with, like that the newcomers they don't get lost in the sequence of which tool to get applied, and the idea is that slowly they will become expert while using the tool. Yeah. Renu, you want to add something?
Rohit, you covered it all very well. Thank you so much for showing this. This has been in work in progress for some time. We are hoping for feedback from you all, maybe try run this for your scenarios and see how it works for you. And then that would give us either more, I mean, it will push us in the right direction. So definitely want you all to try it out and let us know how you think. So we can share the binary, or you can, the branch is available. You could always build it and use it.
I really like the idea of using a monolithic approach to teach how to use Unix philosophy tooling.
Yeah.
Pre-integrated. It's not monolithic. It's pre-integrated. There you go.
That's a good marketing term. Pre-integrated.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Well loved. It's not old. It's been previously loved.
Exactly.
Approved. Thank you so much, Rohit, on a demo. Super exciting stuff to see there. If anyone is watching this from home and you have comments or feedback or any questions regarding this, feel free to reach out to us on Slack or any of the other channels, or come find us in the community meeting next week. We'd love to hear from you on that. Going back to the doc, it looks like we don't have any discussion items that have been put down, but is there anything that folks want to bring up before we end today's call? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. We hope to see you again next week. So again, we meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day.